Pakistan, Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the respected Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Naved اشرف, distinguished delegates, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. It is indeed a great honor to stand before you in this late afternoon after a couple of days of very successful dialogue, the Aman Dialogue 2025. Let me begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to the Pakistan Navy for their warm hospitality and congratulate both the Navy and the NIMA for organizing this extraordinary event, which has been truly very rewarding for all of us. This dialogue has once again served as a pivotal forum for enhancing maritime cooperation, fostering mutual trust, and reinforcing our shared commitment to ensure a secure and stable maritime domain. Distinguished audience, the topic, rule of law in maritime security, is of critical importance. The oceans are the lifeline of connectivity, global trade, and economic prosperity. However, as the maritime domain grows in significance, so do the challenges that threaten the safety and stability of our seas and oceans. Adherence to the rule of law is the foundation upon which maritime security must be built. Let's talk about the foundation of maritime security. The rule of law in maritime security is not merely a legal concept. It is a dire necessity, a need of the time. Without it, the seas would be vulnerable to lawlessness, uncontrolled exploitation, and there will be conflicts threatening the peace and prosperity of nations. The United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, often referred to as the Constitution of the Oceans, serves as the fundamental legal framework governing maritime affairs. It defines the rights and responsibilities of nations regarding the use of the world's oceans, ensuring freedom of navigation, equitable resource distribution, and dispute resolution mechanisms. However, despite the existence of UNCLOS and other international agreements, we continue to witness the challenges and violations that undermine maritime security. Some of the examples are the piracy and armed robbery at sea, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, maritime terrorism, where non-state actors exploit sea routes for illicit activities, cybersecurity threats to maritime infrastructures, including ports, ships, and naval systems, unresolved maritime boundary disputes, which create geopolitical tensions. These challenges call for a collective response, one that is rooted in legal framework, mutual cooperation, and innovative solutions. Now about Bangladesh's commitment to maritime security and the rule of law. Distinguished audience, Bangladesh as a maritime nation firmly upholds the principles of freedom of navigation, territorial integrity, and peaceful coexistence. Our commitment to the rule of law in maritime security is reflected in our adherence to the UNCLOS, which guided the peaceful resolution of our maritime boundary disputes with our eastern neighbor in 2012 and the western neighbor in 2014, respectively. Our active role in the regional maritime constructs include participation in the IORA, the Western Pacific Naval Symposium, and of course, the IONS. And Bangladesh was the chair of Indian Ocean Naval Symposium in the year 2017 and 18, where we arranged for the first time a maritime search and rescue exercise in the name IMSAREX. Our efforts to combat maritime crimes through strict enforcement against illegal fishing, piracy, smuggling, and all other illicit activities at sea in the Bay of Bengal continues day in, day out. In addition, the Bangladesh Navy has taken proactive measures to enhance regional maritime security through joint patrols, information sharing networks, and participation in multilateral initiatives like here in Amman, the Lima in Malaysia, the Indo-Pacific Conference in Australia, and the International Seapower Symposium in the USA on a regular basis. I shall now quickly touch upon the innovation in maritime security and the role of technology. Although I am not an expert in it, however, as we navigate the complex landscape of modern maritime security, we must recognize the transformative role of technology and innovation in strengthening the rule of law at sea. The integration of AI-driven surveillance systems, satellite monitoring, and unmanned maritime systems have enhanced real-time situational awareness, allowing for swift response to threats such as piracy and illegal activities. But as one of the speakers very rightly mentioned, there is a need for legal harmonization between these modern technologies and our legal regimes. Cybersecurity in the maritime operations is an order of the day with the increasing digitalization of naval operations. And that is why we need to put our focus on cybersecurity as a whole in order to protect our ports, ships, naval systems, and maritime communication networks. Smart and autonomous vessels and drones, the use of it is becoming more and more frequent among nations. And it is revolutionizing the maritime surveillance, making law enforcement operations more efficient and effective. As such, as nations, we must invest in research and indulge into joint collaboration with like-minded countries, and also ensure training for our human resources, because end of the day, it's always men or women behind the machine that is important. Technology, when aligned with legal frameworks and international cooperation, can fortify maritime security and uphold the rule of law in our seas and oceans. Let us now talk about some actions for strengthening the legal and security frameworks. While UNCLOS and the other international regimes provide a strong foundation, their effectiveness depends on implementation, enforcement, and adaptation to evolving threats. Therefore, I propose some actions for strengthening the rule of law in maritime security. First of all, let us reinforce our legal frameworks. And as nations, we must harmonize domestic laws in line with international maritime conventions to close the legal loopholes and improve enforcement mechanisms. Let us also enhance maritime law enforcement cooperation, strengthening regional Coast Guard collaborations, sharing intelligence, and conducting joint naval operations, coordinated patrols, and the like. In this regard, I would like to praise the participation and the frequent leadership of the Pakistan Navy in CTF 150 and 151. I think, sir, it shows the commitment of Pakistan Navy and, as a nation, the country of Pakistan towards the peace and stability in the Indian Ocean region. We should also invest in capacity building, developing human resources, training programs, and technological capabilities that will ensure that maritime security agencies remain prepared for emerging challenges. Our efforts should be to promote peaceful dispute resolutions through diplomatic means and consultation as the first course of action. And let us also foster public-private partnership, because the collaboration between the governments, the industry, the private sectors, and the research institutes will pave the way for innovation and will ensure that the maritime security is efficient and effective. And finally, let us patronize the maritime think tanks that I have always propagated, because these are the people who will give us the broad ideas, and we in uniform cannot always say what we want to say, but these maritime think tanks can. So let us facilitate them and let us allow them to help us in the greater cause. Distinguished audience, as we look ahead, we must envision a maritime domain where security, stability, and sustainability prevail, where the seas are governed not by might, but by law. We must ensure a future where UNCLOS and similar other legal regimes are universally respected, ensuring fair and equitable use of ocean resources. A future where technological advancements strengthen rather than undermine the rule of law. And a future where nations, regardless of their geopolitical differences, come together in the spirit of cooperation to secure seas and oceans in order to ensure a prosperous future for mankind. This vision that is projected by the theme of Aman Dialogue, Secure Seas for a Prosperous Future, is not a mere idea, but a necessity. Achieving it requires commitment, collaboration, and actions from every nation, every navy, and every maritime stakeholder. In the concluding remarks, I would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, let us leave here today not only with some new insights, but with a renewed commitment to act together. I extend my deepest appreciation once again to the Chief of Naval Staff, Pakistan Navy, and to his great team of staff who have conducted a very successful Aman Dialogue, and I wish all the best for tomorrow's fleet review. I thank the Honorable Chief Guest for his gracious presence and the importance that has been shown by the Government of Pakistan to this multilateral arrangement. Let us continue sailing together for peace, stability, and rule-based maritime order towards ensuring secure seas for a prosperous future. Shukriya, Dhanyavad, thank you very much, Allah Hafiz.
Ladies and gentlemen, now I would request distinguished Rear Admiral Christopher Smith, Fleet Commander of the Royal Australian Navy, to speak on the topic Navies as Enablers of Economic Prosperity.
Honourable Minister, Admiral اشرف, sir, it is an honour to be here. I bring greetings and best wishes from Vice Admiral Hammond, Chief of the Australian Navy, and his deepest apologies he's unable to join us in person. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, maritime leaders from the region and around the world, I'm honoured to be able to join you here for the Aman Dialogue 2025. As one of the presenters said yesterday, speaking last can be challenging, as most of the wind has been taken from the sails. I find myself in this position. So I will take some liberties with my topic and talk at a more philosophical level. Something as senior leaders I think we owe our navies and those that trust us with our shared significant responsibilities. As I look around, I see decades, indeed centuries, of experience of the sea, of its power, of its vast horizons, of the great riches in the waters, of the many ships which carry trade between our nations. As mariners, we know you cannot deceive the sea. Only professionalism and the utmost respect will allow you to pass in relative safety. And so I observe there is a unique characteristic to the gathering of so many esteemed naval and maritime leaders, an opportunity to communicate frankly, to report positions of the and shoal waters, timely avoid, so all nations and their mariners can have secure seas for a prosperous future. Blue economy is an attractive shorthand expression for something that merchants and mariners have known for thousands of years. The resources of the sea and the ability to use it for trade are of great value. For nations, for local communities, for companies, for farmers, for sophisticated manufacturers, for traditional coastal fishermen. All rely on good order at sea for the safe and efficient conduct of their business. The blue economy is underwritten by long-established rules and norms where all countries can cooperate, trade and thrive. The United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea provides the foundation of this in the maritime domain. And navies and maritime forces operating within UNCLOS are the principal tool available to nations to ensure good order at sea. Although universally recognised as the foundation of global prosperity, good order at sea is a conscious choice by nations. It is a conscious choice to respect and uphold treaties to which they are signatory. It is a conscious choice to uphold customary law. It is a conscious choice to respect the sovereignty of other nations, just as a nation would expect its own sovereignty to be respected. Good order at sea is a conscious choice to steer clear of shoal waters and to avoid poor weather. Colleagues, fellow naval and maritime leaders, I submit to you that conscious choices are sometimes being made contrary to the interests and good order at sea, contrary to furthering the blue economy with prosperity for all. Good order at sea is not speaking of harmonious seas while using state-sponsored militias and coastguards, escalating tensions through the use of water cannons and ramming of vessels. Good order at sea is not claiming to support the rules-based order while seeking to impose an interpretation of the world inconsistent with the international ruling. Yet, this is what we are observing in the South China Sea. Just as we cannot ignore or wish away an approaching typhoon or hurricane, we cannot ignore or wish away what is before our eyes. Regrettably, it is not the only example. In the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, the actions of the Houthis have not helped good order at sea. According to the United Nations Convention on Trade and Development, between October 23 and February 24, container traffic using the Suez Canal dropped by 82%. LNG prices rose. Vessel speeds and carbon emissions rose. Insurance and shipping costs rose. While there is no doubt the Houthis have developed indigenous capacity, their weapons and capabilities are not wholly indigenous. According to much open source reporting, cruise missiles of Iranian origin have been used in considerable numbers. The actions of the Houthis have hindered the international blue economy and diminished prosperity for many. The navies of many nations have worked to defend against the Houthi attacks. Others have stood to one side, and at least one has acted to assist these attacks, affecting not just trade, but the safety of mariners from many nations. In the Black Sea, we witnessed the maritime elements of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russian use of sea mines does not appear to be in accordance with the Hague Convention or the San Remo Manual. The location of minefields has not been announced, nor given the number of reports of free-floating mines breaking loose and circulating around the Black Sea, does it appear Russia has been concerned with the safety of shipping sailing to and from Turkey, Romania, Bulgaria, Georgia and Ukraine. By contrast, it is Turkey, Romania and Bulgaria which have committed their navies to joint mine-sweeping missions. For some nations, blue economy is the link to national prosperity. For other nations, blue economy is the link to simple survival for many of their citizens. So the increase in the price and the limitation in food supply of basic foodstuffs, such as wheat and maize from both Russia and Ukraine, has had a significant negative impact on the populations of developing countries, particularly in East Africa and the Middle East. A final example of actions which diminish good order at sea are the various examples of merchant ships dragging anchors across communication cables and other seabed infrastructure, having a significant disruptive impact on the global economic system. As a professional mariner, I find it hard to believe so many anchors could be so suddenly poorly secured for such an extended period of time. Perhaps one of the practical outcomes of our gathering could be for each of us to make representation to our various maritime regulatory and safety authorities to request they pay closer attention to the seamanship standards for the ships which visit our ports, sail under our flags, and are owned by companies from our nations. There is one thread that links together the examples that I have cited. They all occur in what is often called the Great Global Commons. Here, I refer not just to those areas beyond any national jurisdiction and not simply to the question of resources. More than that, the seas and oceans remain a space relatively unconstrained, where national activity and national choices are less constrained than they are ashore. Freedom of the sea, first set down by Hugo Grotius in early 1600s, remains a benefit to us all. In many ways, Grotius set down the blue economy and future prosperity of the age. In this relatively unconstrained space, nations demonstrate their national identity. They give all nations a view of how they choose to exercise power. It's an insight into their sovereign identity and the way they value the sovereign identity of other nations. Ladies and gentlemen, I've given you a frank report of the weather forecast, something that befits such an illustrious gathering of mariners. And while it may not sound happy reading, I do not believe that the storm is unavoidable. The United Nations Law of the Sea Convention, in which 160 nations participated, remains one of the United Nations' greatest achievements. It has and can continue to underpin the current blue economy and future prosperity for all of our nations. And navies and maritime forces play essential roles in supporting it. As we have heard repeatedly throughout the Amman dialogue, working together for peace, locally, regionally, and globally, in good faith, can and is making a difference. Moreover, the benefits from supporting UNCLOS accrue to all nations. The reason for all our nations to support UNCLOS greatly outweigh the alternatives. But this is, of course, a matter of conscious choice. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, Admiral اشرف, Sir, thank you for your attention and for your time. I wish you all fair winds and following seas. Thanks.
Now, I would like to invite Dr. Christian Buger to speak on the topic Geostrategic Challenges in the Indian Ocean, Securing Stability and Prosperity.
Honorable Minister, Excellencies, Admirals, colleagues, and friends, it's a great pleasure and deep honor to address you again in this symposium and offer some reflections in this closing session. It has been amazing 2 days, and I hope you all join me in thanking the Pakistani Navy for hosting us so generously together with Nima. I was asked and invited to speak about geopolitics. Geopolitics or geostrategy and maritime security do not go easily together. Geopolitics and its brother, geoeconomics, are ways of thinking about the world by splitting it into spheres of influence in which one dominates rather than the other. The maritime space, however, is a space of connectivity. Neither is the North Sea or the Baltic Sea a NATO lake, nor is the Indian Ocean India's ocean, nor is the South China Sea China's domain. No, we are all dependent on these seas. They belong to all of us. This is precisely why the founding fathers and mothers of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea argued that we should think about the oceans, not only the seabed as it made it into the convention, as a common heritage of humankind, a common heritage in need for collective stewardship. Now today, almost 40 years later, we might think about the oceans slightly different than back then. We are now looking at a very different ocean, and I tried to show you this yesterday, but it came also through in a couple of other presentations. The ocean that we are looking at today is a crowded and increasingly industrialized ocean. It is full of infrastructures, and it is full of infrastructures of connectivity. No longer is it a heritage. Rather, we should start speaking about the oceans as a common infrastructure of humankind that we all depend on. It is a common infrastructure of humankind that, however, needs protection and it needs care. The maritime security agenda that emerged from the 1990s onwards is exactly a response to this challenge. It is an agenda of protection and care. How it was phrased from its onset, it is about preventing accidents from threatening the sea, stopping all sorts of crimes that prevail, protect marine biodiversity, saving human lives at sea. Those issues are the heart of the maritime security agenda. And ladies and gentlemen, in many ways we have come a far way. I invite you to read our report for the United Nations Institute for Disarmament Research, and one of the key points that we are making in the report is that maritime security has led to remarkable forms of interstate cooperation on both a regional as well as global level. And it is quite impressive, in particular if we compare it to other areas of security, whether we are talking about information sharing, maritime domain awareness, joint maritime security operations, or capacity building, including to address challenges such as piracy. And let's not forget the impressive coalition that was assembled between 2008 and 2012, when the entire world came together to suppress Somali piracy. This is an achievement we should never forget. However, as we argue in the report, we can do and we must do better in at least 3 different ways. First of all, as we have heard over the 2 days, there is a number of new challenges on the horizon, and there are also older, persistent challenges such as illegal fishing, smuggling, and piracy. It is specifically small and developing states that are heavily affected by these challenges and are struggling. They do need ongoing international support to patrol their exclusive economic zones, but also in order to work together. Think about the challenges of maritime cybersecurity, the return of naval mines as weapons, or sea level rise. These are pragmatic challenges that we need to address better. Second, there's a strong case for us to rethink our strategy of how we institutionalize maritime security governance, and that includes the United Nations system. There's a too complex patchwork of regional mechanisms that undermine efficiency. There is too much focus on informal ways of cooperation. Informality can be very good to solve problems pragmatically, but however, informal cooperation means a lack of accountability, a lack of transparency, and often a lack of sustainability. We have too many UN agencies that address maritime security in a largely unstructured manner, and in short, we need efforts to develop a global strategy for comprehensive maritime security. The third point that I'd like to flag here today is that we need to continue to improve our knowledge and evidence base for maritime security. We still lack global statistics. There's nothing like that. We have some statistics on a regional level. We do not have global trend analysis. Very often we do not know what the scale of a problem actually is or where the assistance is truly needed. This quite obviously brings think tanks into the game, think tanks such as NEMA, but also other institutions around the region and universities. Enhancing the knowledge bases for maritime security is essential. Colleagues and friends, these are arguably big tasks and large efforts. However, these are challenges that can be tackled. I have counted in this room 9 representatives of states that are members of the UN Security Council. 9 out of 15 here in this room. The UN Security Council is one of the places where such change that is needed to address maritime security differently can be initiated. The government of Greece has already indicated that they want to put maritime security on the table of the Maritime Security Council. And I do hope they will get the support from Pakistan, but I also hope they do get the support from all the other nations here in the room that are currently in the UN Security Council, because this is a place where true change can be initiated. Amman Dialogue is a very important place for the region, but also for a global maritime security discussion. It is an important forum to review our progress and make sure that we stay on course. But let us also all ensure that the messages of commonality and the cooperative spirit that we have heard of over the last 2 days also lead to the respective actions. After all, maritime security is no less than a global responsibility to protect the ocean infrastructures that we all depend on. I thank you very much for your attention.
This is a moment to reflect on the Amman Dialogue and the outcomes that will pave the way for a secure and prosperous maritime future. I would like to invite Vice Admiral Raja Rab Nawaz, Hilal Imtiaz Military, Deputy Chief of Naval Staff, Operations, to deliver the summing up remarks.
Honorable Minister for Planning, Development and Special Initiatives, distinguished guests, esteemed maritime professionals, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. It is my profound privilege to present the crux of the 2 days long maiden Amman Dialogue, which centered around the theme Secure Seas, Prosperous Future. Practitioners and renowned academia from around the globe dilated upon a variety of issues in 8 sessions, dissecting the sub-themes of threats and challenges pertaining to maritime security, cooperation, blue economy, and emerging technologies. It was gratifying to see Aman Dialogue morph into a proverbial crucible of ideas which, when strategized, can catalyze our pursuit of the common ends of secure seas and prosperous future. Ladies and gentlemen, there is an absolute unanimity of views about the importance of oceans and ocean-based resources and their corresponding role in human prosperity. This dependence is projected to grow further in future. To be able to benefit from seas and their resources is the objective outcome that we all vie for. However, the critical enabler for this outcome, that is secure seas, is beset with multiple challenges which were amply highlighted by various speakers. I will essentially focus on these challenges and endeavor to chart out a response strategy based on what we heard in the last 2 days. Ladies and gentlemen, complexity of maritime domain due to its vastness, less regulated nature, multiple stakeholders, and pervasiveness makes it a unique medium. While there is a general consensus about the freedom of navigation, however, dynamics of great power competition induces securitization and hinder an all-inclusive approach towards maritime security cooperation at sea. Rapid technological advancements in the fields of artificial intelligence and unmanned systems in recent times present great potential for securing the maritime domain. However, there are attendant ethical and legal challenges that need to be addressed. National maritime security apparatus of littoral states is increasingly being stretched due to quantum of threats. Unauthorized exploitation of undersea resources and overexploitation of marine species leading to depletion of marine stocks adversely impact food security. The gaps in international maritime legal regimes with respect to varying interpretation of ocean governance add further complexity to the issue. Overlapping territorial claims in various Indian Ocean region countries complicate the maritime security. Socio-economic and demographic pressures compound the problems, such as increase in human trafficking, narco and arms smuggling, etc. Lack of international consensus on challenges emerging due to climate change poses serious and at times existential threat to low-lying littoral states. Lack of regional cooperation and governance mechanisms is hindering a coordinated response against multifarious maritime security threats. The overarching challenge compounding the maritime security calculus is the lack of trust among nations due to a host of factors. Ladies and gentlemen, having highlighted the significant challenges impacting global maritime security and economy, I would like to dilate on response strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, cornerstone of any response strategy being conceived to counter these threats or challenges will build on trust. Building trust, a prerequisite for mitigating strategic competition and ensuring long-term peace and stability, requires significant investment in terms of time and political will to understand shared nature of threat. Key enabler to foster trust is regular and meaningful interaction through forums such as Aman Dialogue, where people can develop commonality of perspective. Through maritime diplomacy, inclusivity, and fostering relations at such gatherings, a cooperative framework that prioritizes security and peace can be defined. Common interests, common responsibilities, and common resolve for peace should keep us united to keep our seas secure. Ladies and gentlemen, the geopolitical realities are there to stay and cannot be wished away. However, non-traditional maritime threats like terrorism, maritime piracy, narco, arms and human smuggling, and illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing transcend beyond geopolitical confrontations and have the potential to profoundly impact maritime security, as we have witnessed in the last 2 decades. These non-traditional threats provide a common rallying ground for littoral states to work together and institute collaborative security mechanisms which are absolutely essential, and some of which are already in place and are contributing towards maritime security. We heard about the need to augment the existing efforts by promoting collaborative region-centric and region-led maritime constructs to ensure security and stability at sea. Some very successful models of regional maritime cooperation presently working in Southeast Asia were highlighted by worthy speakers during the dialogue. Similar initiatives elsewhere need to be instituted to reassure trust among neighboring countries and provide an avenue for collaboration, capacity building, information sharing, and collective response against common threats. Maritime domain awareness and info sharing are key aspects to mount effective response to non-traditional threats. This is easier said than done, given the vast expanse of ocean areas vis-à-vis limited capacity of littoral states for effective surveillance. While emerging technology has helped bridge the gap to an extent, its access remains limited and may not necessarily be affordable in many littoral states. The solution lies in increased willingness of technologically capable nations to share technology and information and encourage greater integration amongst national information fusion centers to ensure that actionable information timely reaches to the littoral state best suited to take action. And it was really heartening to witness the willingness of senior leadership of participating navies in sharing their knowledge and experience in this critical domain, and this indeed is the way forward. Unmanned systems will continue to play increasingly prominent role in future. Therefore, laws governing their employment, both in peace and war, need to be defined by developing consensus among partner nations. Climate resilience integrated into maritime governance is essential for the sustainability of ocean ecosystems and well-being of coastal communities. Regional cooperation on maritime pollution, biodiversity conservation, and alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is crucial for safeguarding maritime resources for our future generations. Last but not the least, ensuring protection of underwater critical infrastructure such as submarine cables, oil and gas pipelines, offshore rigs, etc., needs collective effort. Thus, a comprehensive mechanism to safeguard such vital maritime infrastructure needs to be formulated. Ladies and gentlemen, these focus areas or the cardinals of our response can be termed as the strategic outcome of this dialogue, which can serve as a stepping stone for developing consensus on dealing with the challenges discussed and leading us towards the theme of this maiden edition of our dialogue, Secure Seas and Prosperous Future. With this, I thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, to extend our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made this event possible, I would request Admiral Naved Ashraf, Nishan-e-Imtiaz Military, Tamghe Basalat, Chief of the Naval Staff, to deliver the note of thanks.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Minister for Planning, Development and Special Initiatives, Ahsan Iqbal Chaudhry, distinguished Chiefs of the Defense Forces, Chiefs of the Navies, heads and representatives of maritime organizations, worthy guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon. Honorable Minister, it is my immense pleasure and honor to welcome you to the closing session of Aman Dialogue 2025. Your kind presence here not only elevates the significance of this maritime discourse, but also underscores Pakistan's unwavering commitment to international maritime cooperation for advancing peace and security in the region. As we conclude Aman Dialogue 2025, I sincerely appreciate the insightful discussions and spirit of collaboration exhibited by delegates over the last 2 days. This impressive gathering of nations is a testament to the trust reposed in Pakistan's steadfast commitment towards fostering a peaceful and prosperous maritime future. During the course of Aman Dialogue, interactive sessions and discussions have enabled us to see strategic landscape clearly and strengthened our resolve against evolving maritime threats. From non-traditional security challenges to far-reaching concerns like impact of climate change and emerging technologies on maritime security, the spectrum of challenges has definitely broadened. Most significantly, we have reinforced our commitment to maritime cooperation and blue economy as keystones of our maritime future. Ladies and gentlemen, while capability and capacities can be surged relatively easily in challenging circumstances, trust cannot be built overnight. It requires years of investments in terms of developing enduring partnerships and connection through forums such as Aman to develop collaborative approach on the relevant issues. Self-interest-based inward-looking approach is akin to lose-lose paradigm. Information advantages gained through use of superior technologies is of no value if not shared for collective universal good. The deliberations during Aman Dialogue have yielded concrete pathways for strengthening information sharing, developing coordinated response, and fostering technological cooperation while evaluating challenges and benefits of artificial intelligence in naval operations. Our collective wisdom has also afforded us the opportunity to seek solutions to complex challenges faced by naval leaders in today's era of digitalization and an increasingly susceptible cyberspace. Our motto, Together for Peace, has been finding resonance in every session, every discussion, and every commitment made during the Dialogue 2025. I am encouraged to see the flourishing friendships and partnerships towards a secure and prosperous future. Through the platform of Aman, we have endeavored not only to connect the region, but various regions of the world as well. We need to move forward with reiterated resolve, guided by wisdom, driven by cooperation, and united in our commitment with a renewed vigor until we meet again in 2027. The journey we begin here sets the course for maritime security cooperation in the years to come. As we transition towards the sea phase, I wish all the participating forces smooth conduct of operations and professional fulfillment. The International Fleet Review and joint operations of our special forces, EOD teams, and Marines will further strengthen our cohesion and combined capabilities. May the spirit of Aman, our shared commitment to maritime peace and security, continue to guide our future collaborations. Upon the culmination of this Aman Dialogue 2025, I would like to once again extend my profound gratitude to the Honorable Minister for his presence. I would also thank distinguished international leaders, renowned speakers, and maritime professionals for sharing their valuable experiences and considered views. Your insights have been invaluable in shaping our understanding of the evolving maritime landscape and shared commitment to maritime peace and economic prosperity for our collective good. I thank you all. Long live our maritime partnerships. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Honorable Minister for Planning, Development and Special Initiatives, SK Lahore, for his closing remarks.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Admiral Naved اشرف, Chief of Naval Staff, distinguished chiefs, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. It is indeed a great honor to address this esteemed gathering at the closing session of Aman Dialogue. I extend my sincere gratitude to the Chief of the Naval Staff for organizing this important forum and bringing together global naval leaders, maritime organizations, and distinguished academicians. This dialogue has reaffirmed a fundamental truth. The seas are not just vast bodies of water, they are the lifelines of global trade, security, and prosperity. Over the past 2 days, you have engaged in meaningful discussions on the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead in the maritime domain. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world where no nation can afford isolation. The challenges of today, security threats, economic instability, climate change, and technological disruptions transcend national boundaries. The Indian Ocean region is a global economic artery carrying 40% of the world's containerized cargo and 80% of global oil trade. Yet, rising tensions, territorial disputes, piracy, and illegal activities threaten its stability. Confrontation at sea is a recipe for economic disruption. Collaboration is the only sustainable path forward. In this era of strategic competition, we must replace division with dialogue and conflict with cooperation. The Aman Dialogue has demonstrated that when nations come together, we can forge partnerships based on trust, mutual respect, and shared prosperity. A secure maritime environment is the foundation of economic growth. Pakistan strongly advocates for a rules-based international maritime order where freedom of navigation, peaceful trade, and sustainable resource management are protected. The blue economy holds immense potential for economic transformation. The Indian Ocean is rich in marine resources, but without sustainable governance, these resources risk exploitation. We must strengthen maritime law enforcement to combat piracy and illegal fishing, develop sustainable fisheries and marine industries to boost coastal economies, enhance regional connectivity through modernized ports and shipping corridors, and invest in ocean-based renewable energy solutions for a greener future. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan recognizes the blue economy as a key pillar of our national development agenda, Udaan Pakistan. Under its 5Es framework, we are prioritizing coastal development, port efficiency, and digital innovation in the maritime sector. The future of maritime security and trade is being reshaped by digitalization. Artificial intelligence, big data analytics, satellite surveillance, and smart shipping are transforming naval and maritime operations. To remain competitive and secure, maritime nations must invest in digital port management for efficiency and transparency, strengthen cybersecurity to prevent maritime cyber threats, develop AI-driven monitoring systems for real-time security tracking. Pakistan is committed to embracing emerging technologies to modernize our naval capabilities, port infrastructure, and trade networks. Recognizing the strategic significance of the maritime sector, Pakistan is implementing key policy reforms to modernize its ports, particularly Karachi and Gwadar, to enhance regional trade, expand our shipbuilding industry to support economic growth, develop trade corridors under CPEC linking South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, implement climate-smart maritime policies to protect our coastal ecosystems. We strongly believe that Indian Ocean should be a zone of peace, not conflict. It is in the interest of all nations to promote economic interdependence rather than strategic rivalries. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this historic Aman dialogue, let us reflect on the key messages that will guide us forward. Collaboration, not confrontation, is the way forward. In today's interconnected world, challenges such as maritime security, climate change, and economic disruptions transcend national boundaries. No nation alone can address these issues. Only through cooperation can we ensure peace and prosperity. The Indian Ocean must remain a bridge of opportunity, not a battleground. History has shown that conflicts at sea have far-reaching consequences for global trade and regional instability. Instead of rivalry, we must embrace shared responsibility to keep sea lanes open, safe, and prosperous. Maritime security is the backbone of economic resilience. Over 80% of global trade is transported via sea, and disruptions in maritime routes can trigger great economic crisis. Protecting these lifelines is not just a regional necessity, it is a global imperative. The blue economy is the future of sustainable development. The vast marine resources of Indian Ocean can be a game changer for economic growth, but only if they are managed sustainably and equitably. Investing in ports, fisheries, ocean energy, and marine biotechnology can transform lives while ensuring environmental protection. Technology and innovation will define the next era of maritime progress, from artificial intelligence-driven surveillance to smart ports and cybersecurity. Embracing digital transformation will enhance efficiency, security, and environmental stewardship in the maritime domain. Pakistan is committed to a rules-based maritime order. We believe in an open trade, multilateral cooperation, and upholding international maritime laws. Our policies are aligned with Pakistan's Udaan Pakistan framework, where blue economy is a key driver of sustainable growth and national prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, every civilization and religion has recognized the importance of maritime resources. The Holy Quran reminds us in Surah Al-Nahl, and it is He who subjected the sea for you to eat from it tender meat and to extract from it ornaments which you wear. And you see the ships ploughing through it, that you may seek of His bounty, and perhaps you will be grateful. The message is clear. Our seas are a blessing and a responsibility. It is upon us to protect them, use them wisely, and ensure they remain a source of prosperity for all nations. I want to extend my deepest appreciation to all the distinguished guests who traveled to Karachi to participate in the Aman Dialogue. Your contributions have been invaluable in shaping a collective maritime security vision. I express my special, sincere gratitude to the Chief of Naval Staff for organizing this momentous event and to all the distinguished guests for their participation. I am confident that the partnerships built here will not end with this conference, but will continue to grow in the years ahead, strengthening maritime security, trade cooperation, and sustainable development. I also hope that our esteemed guests take back fond memories of their stay in Pakistan, having experienced our warm hospitality, rich traditions, and renowned cuisine. Let us work together to ensure that the seas remain a source of prosperity, peace, and progress for all. Pakistan Zindabad. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the official proceeding of Aman Dialogue 2025. Guests who have been invited for group photograph are requested to proceed to...
नाज़रीन, वफाकी वज़ीर मनसूबा बंदी और तरक्की एहसन इकबाल पाक बहरिया की कसीर अलकौमी अमन मश्क के चौथे रोज़ अमन डायलॉग की